Hey guys, it's been a very interesting week. A lot of stuff has happened with me, personally, and a lot of stuff has happened in the news. As you know, they just had Whitney's funeral. A lot of people have paid their respects. I, of course, also paid my respect in my own way. A lot of stuff happened, both good and bad. For what I've heard, Bobby Brown has left the funeral pretty much not because of the family situation, but because he got into some kind of argument with security. I don't know how much truth is that to be told. I don't know if the security had instructions to keep him out. I don't know if he was already there and just left. It was something of a brief thing that popped up on my screen. But other than that, a lot of people, both stars, Tyler Perry, Franklin, a lot of big celebrities, a lot of people gathered to say they final goodbyes. And, me myself, I was listening to some good Whitney Houston music. So that and the fact that Channel 7 had a special on, so I tuned in on that. So it's pretty much been that throughout most of the day. There are also two stories that I have been keeping an eye on for quite some time. I wanted to talk about it. One of the stories I actually had gotten a couple of days ago, but I put off telling about it because I wanted to make sure I get the whole gist of the story, and I don't want my initial feelings on this story to be the one that's put on video. It's because it's a very, 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 very touchy subject that a person had brought up. A man who was a grandfather of a daughter was walking, home with his granddaughter, and he was basically attacked by the cops. Stems from a report they have gotten of a girl being kidnapped in Texas. This was, I believe, was Dallas, Texas, I believe. But he was attacked, tasered, brought into the station for questioning. They took the girl and they questioned her. And all this pretty much stems from what they have thought was a kidnap victim. Now, this person was let go, but his comments did left me a little bit surprised, and also got me thinking a little bit about what he said. Now, the reason why I didn't come up with this, again, because it's a very touchy subject, I didn't want to make my initial feelings be the one that's been put on video. I wanted to be careful with this one, and most importantly, I wanted to get both sides of the story, which I was not able to do. I was not able to get both sides of the stories, and that's largely because this report was based on something that the grandfather had posted, and what he said was pretty much that the reason why he was attacked because he was white, and his granddaughter, who he was walking home, was black. And initially, this one caught my attention. I read it, and I read it very carefully. I read it twice. And for what I understand, that he was basically saying if his granddaughter was white, they would not attack him. I'm not too sure that was the case. I believe that if there was a child abducted and it matched the description, they're gonna spring into action. One of the reasons why this thing was so out there, because it is on the web and you can actually check it out. If you want to, I actually will leave a link to that page, and you guys can look for yourself about this, because it's a very interesting story. Is that he was questioned before? He was questioned by, I think, a female officer, and she have asked if this child is her, who is she, and she asked the question of his granddaughter, and what I understand, she was polite about it, and after hearing the questions, he was calmly let go. It wasn't until he was halfway home, or pretty much like I think like a few blocks away from his house, or his granddaughter's house, when he was attacked by multiple police, tased, and brought down to the ground and put into the police squad. The girl was taken away. She didn't know what the hell was going on, and from what I read, she was crying. And they basically asked a few questions, and basically after getting everything sorted out, both in the police precinct and questioning the girl, he was let home. He was mad because he didn't get an apology. Although he did stated that they explained that there was an abduction that happened, but he was upset. He felt it was a race issue, and that the police officers was a little bit out of line. Going to pretty much put aside the race issue for the simple grounds of this. The cops probably had just gotten this description. It probably matched what the abductor was or the child was, and they was like, okay, we gotta get this person out. We're gonna spring into action, restrain this guy, get the child to safety, and pretty much answer all the questions once we get to the precinct. That was, I think, their main agenda. I don't think this was a major race issue, due to the fact that they got it on the hard wire. Now the question I need to ask is, did they have a full description? Did they have a full description of both the kidnapper or the victim? And that's the thing I'm curious about. That's more curious about than what this guy is ranting and saying. And if they did, how come they didn't double check it? But again, like I said, this is one of the most tough issue, because I gotta ask myself, if I was a police officer, what would I have done if I had something that would match that description? Would I have just, calmly walked to the guy? No, I think I would have probably did whatever I can to restrain him and then ask questions later. Do I think they acted recklessly? I think they should at least apologize. I don't think there was no reason why they can't apologize. I think they should apologize. I mean, after all, they did tase the guy. They pretty much roughed him up pretty bad. But if because of racial motivation, I don't think it was. I just think that it was basically because it was mixed communication for one, and the fact that they may have had a description that matched the girls or him. It tends to happen. I mean, it happens in New York as well. So I think that's more on that. And keep in mind, we're only getting one side. I'd actually look for to see if any statement was made by the police, see if any further investigation. And it really ain't that much investigation to be had. It's just this story. So I could only go by what they say, and that's pretty much it. But I'm gonna leave this, guys, up to you. You guys can check it out. I will leave a link to at least the article, and you guys can choose to follow that link, read it, and you guys can comment on it if you guys want to. There is one more story before I go. And this story, yeah, I'm not going to deny, this was a pretty much dumbest teacher I probably ever heard for in a while, because she handled the situation poorly, and she probably have made it matters worse for this kid who may have to be with these kids on a daily basis. From what I understand, the kid didn't want to go back to school after this. Apparently, this happened in Canada, where an elementary school. A kid was 10 years old. He went to school, and he had like a lunch. This lunch contained a fish sandwich, I believe, which was prepared by his mother. Well, the fish sandwich had pretty much an odor which caused him to be the butt of all jokes. Excuse my language. But he was, being teased, being made fun, being bullied on by his peers, and it's typical stuff that you expect to see from his grade. I'm not saying that's not an excuse. Bullying is wrong, but what happened afterwards didn't make things any better. The teacher apparently took him out of the class, and he missed a whole period, not just for 5 minutes, missed a whole period of class. Then that teacher came back and sprayed him, I'll repeat this again, sprayed him with air freshener before he was allowed to go back in. He told his mother about it. His mother was furious, which I can't blame her. Called the teacher, demanding an explanation and actually demanding an apology. The teacher hung up. She actually went the next day to the school, and I gotta tell you, the school did not handle it well because all they can say is people make mistakes. This Normally doesn't happen, but this was probably an isolated incident. Just making excuses. Well, in the end, the Board of Education got wind of it. The Board of Education suspended the teacher, and there are continuing investigation of whether or not termination is merit for this case. This is why this is wrong to begin with. One, we already know what our situation with bullying and how serious it's gotten and how out of control it's gotten to the point where you have students committing suicide, students acting back in aggressive order that has horrific consequences. And the fact that this teacher, who is supposed to be the most logical and more responsible person, do this, all it did was fuel more bullying down the road. Because you basically humiliate the kid. These kids see you humiliating him, and that alone will lead to more bullying and more teasing just on that grounds alone. This kid is devastated, this kid is traumatized, and he doesn't even want to go back to the school, which I can't blame him. A teacher also shows pretty much an act of cowardice, in my opinion, because she basically hung up the phone on the parent. She didn't bother wanting to talk to the parent because pretty much she knows she was in the wrong. And to me, she's just as much of a bully as the kids were. And that's the sad part about that. I really do. I don't know what the hell this teacher was thinking. I really don't. But apparently she wasn't thinking, because all this stuff's happened. She is suspended. They didn't explain how many days she is going to be staying suspended, but she's definitely going to be out for a long amount of time. And I'm hoping, because the parent is furious, the mom is furious about what just happened, and she is hoping that suspension. No, she's hoping that she gets fired. And I'm kind of wondering, it's not the same thing, that whether they will fire her, because her reason is a good point. If she can do this to another student. This may not have been the first time she have done it. This is just now, it just came to light. But right now, from what I understand, they're investigating it. I hope they come up with a good conclusion, and I hope that teacher is taken out of class, because that is uncalled for. There were millions and one ways to handle that. That was not one of them. Especially when you could have called the parents and finally explained why, what's going on, if you was that concerned about that. But apparently you wasn't thinking, that teacher wasn't thinking long side of the road. And I don't know what else to say, except that, wow, a lot of people lost their common sense. They really have. But you guys may disagree. You guys may have your own reasoning for this. You guys may actually think she's justified. If you guys feel that way, please leave your comments below. Let me know. This is very rare. I do 2 stories in one video, but because I got one of my topics out a little late, I decided to combine the 2 just to throw it out there as one weekly roundup. So you guys can comment on one of the stories I talked about, or you can comment on the other story I talked about, or you can comment on all 3. Leave your quotes below. Let me know. Give me some constructive feedback too. Until then, this is Jason7 saying take care.